I got raining on my mind.
So welcome back to Muta. This is my first post in a while, but I'm going to give you a little tour of the Muta area, but this time I'm going to do it in the 1992 Honda Civic. This was a car that my father-in-law bought in '98 when he was here for a wedding, and we drove it around for a while, and ever since then we've kept it in the family, or my wife has kept it in the family, and we've been driving it ever since. So we're going to take a little tour of the area in this little beauty. All right, let's give her a go. So we're starting down here at the Drava River, which is, I do believe, Slovenia's biggest river. Now, I'm not a aficionado, or whatever you want to call it, on Slovenian history, or even Muta or Koroška history, but I'll tell you what I think I know. It's not a lot. Anyways, we're going to start down here. This is a nice little restaurant. I like to kind of wander down here, even though it's a bit of a jaunt. Have myself a coffee or a beer if it's a hot day like today. You never know, might come back down here. And it's just a nice place to kind of relax and watch the river go by. And I find that Slovenians are very into their health and fitness, and there's a little courtyard here. They got soccer, basketball, whatever, so even some skateboard stuff. I find they're very into active living. So, and yeah, we're going to pass by a few of these places as we go along. So we're going to leave Lower Muta. We just went underneath the main road that kind of connects quite a bit of the Koroška region, which is Muta and all the different areas here. And as we leave on the left, this is either the oldest church in Slovenia, possibly Europe, I'm not sure. But it's a cool old church, followed by a nice little restaurant here. I've eaten here a couple of times. It's a pleasant enough establishment. I highly recommend it. Good for if you have parties and whatnot. So we're going to take the old buggy here along for a ride as we go and investigate here, and I might tell you a couple of stories about it along the way, being that my father-in-law bought it, again, like I said, in '98, and we've used it ever since. We do have a new car now, or a newer car, but you know what? I really like driving this vehicle. It just feels, I don't know, there's something about it, you know. You can have your electric cars, this car's cool. Lower Muta, I think, is kind of more the industrial area. There is a foundry, I believe, off that away, and every now and then you hear banging and pounding going on. So I'm assuming that it's still in use. If you take a look to the right, there's like even a foundry statue. There's a couple of them around, even on the building coming up. Here's a roundabout. I call it the world's most useless roundabout because I could go straight, but you can't. So you go around it. But I understand, there's like 6 little roads plus a driveway. And then if you ever have driven in Europe, you notice mirrors, and this one here is really important because before we go up the hill, this is as blind as a blind turn can be. So it's good to have some of these mirrors around just to see what's going on, and you'll see them as we're going up the hill here. A few more mirrors just because there's so many blind turns and the roads are so narrow. Sometimes we walk along this road and you get a really nice view of of Lower Muta from here, but I'm not going to stop because of again, it's such a narrow, windy road. You kind of catch at the top. There's a bit of a church up there. I think it's the only church in Muta, but lots of churches surrounding the area. As we come up to the top of Muta, this is more like the municipal place where people can get some of their work done, I guess. As we come up to the main square, just off to the left, there's City Hall, and then there is a small grocery store, Spar, off to the side, a museum, and if you go further down, there's a fire hall. We'll probably see a little bit better as we come back up another road. And there's a little pizzeria, hamburger place. And to the left here, there used to be an old chicken coop here, and they tore it down a couple of years ago, and they expanded the public school here. And I guess to service more of the growing population around here. There are a lot of children in the Muta area. This is kind of like the residential area of Muta, and this is the area that when my wife's parents moved back to Slovenia from Canada with the kids, they started building a house here, and then my father-in-law had to stop partway through, and he went back to Canada to actually make some more money because he was getting wrung dry, I guess. So my wife and her siblings and mom stayed a few years longer, and then moved back to Canada. So as we crest the top of the hill here now, we come into kind of a little bit more farm area, and you're going to notice there's a lot of corn that's grown here. I'm assuming a lot of it is to feed livestock more so than human consumption, but lots of corn getting grown around here. And as we come up to the top, we come to the outskirts of, I guess, Muta proper, and then we're going to head towards another community called Cortina. And off to the left is where Erica's cousin lives. So we're coming up now to Cortina, a city or a village, I guess, just off of Muta. And that's one thing I've noticed with, coming from northwestern Ontario, all the towns that you're in are an hour from each other. The cities here, I think the furthest one we got to drive to get to is maybe a 10-minute drive at the most. But Cortina has the same thing. It's a residential area. It has just a little restaurant, and of course every town or village in Slovenia has to have a church. There's a church coming up, and we're going to come to a road, and this is the same road that we went under the underpass for. And this road, like I mentioned, connects a lot of different areas of the Koroška region. And if I were to turn right on the road, we would come to a city called Dravograd. And then if we go beyond Dravograd, we would come to the Austrian border. And then as you enter Dravograd, or partway through Dravograd, if you turn left, oops, with my wife's glasses, over a bridge, you would end up in Slovengrad, and then eventually a town called Velenje. And then if you keep on driving and you hit the highway, you come to Ljubljana. Now this car is a 4-cylinder, 5-speed, and if you really enjoy the feeling of power and speed, well, this car, you don't need much speed to feel like you're going fast. If I hit 90, it feels like I'm doing 120. If you're looking off to both sides, these are hop fields. Slovenia grows a fair bit of hops, and I believe they use the hops, well, not only for beer in Slovenia, but from what I understand, they also export them to, well, if you want to call it Austria and Germany exporting, but they send it off for beer making. So if you're having a Heineken, you might be drinking some Slovenian hops. Again, I'm just guessing. And then as we go along, there's going to be a little side road that if I wanted to, I could come up a back road. It's kind of a dirt road that connects Upper Muta again. There's a little bit of a walking trail back there too, which is kind of cool. This is on to the right is the waste disposal site. So if you would need to take away your garbage and recyclables, that's the place to bring it to. Now, if I were to continue driving straight along this highway, there's a bridge. I would turn off, and I come to a little town called Vuzenica. It's right there. Or if I continue going straight, don't cross the bridge, I come to a place called Radle, and then eventually I would come to the town of Maribor. But we're going to be turning off just before that. At the bottom of this hill, there's a supermarket. I think a bigger one for the area. This is kind of like the main one. There's a small spa up on the top, like I mentioned. This is like a main supermarket, and then there's a gas station just below that. But we're going to take this road here that brings us back up to Upper Muta again. And this time it'll take us in just before we come to the road that meets the main square at City Hall. There's a little walking trail along, and a really nice view of Vuzanica just on the other side again. I'm not going to stop on this hill because these roads are narrow, and stopping wouldn't be very advisable. Now we're going to enter Muta proper again, and so as we come up, this is kind of like a newer section of Slovenia, or of Muta. And there's the fire hall just to the right. We're going to take a little back road trip here, and this takes us down through the back roads of the residential area of Muta, and it also brings us to the back area of the school too. So there's a school there, and like I mentioned before, Slovenia is, or I find Slovenians very into their sporting and healthy lifestyle, and looks like the school kids are playing some volleyball. Once again, we have the cornfields, and then this takes us back to overview, kind of more of the fields that they have back here. I believe they do grow other crops, but I'm not quite sure what the other crops would be. Off in the distance, I don't know if you catch them, more hop fields. Like I said, Slovenia is known for their active living, and here comes a bunch of active livers. Livers? Anyways, out for a cycle ride. A little roadside Jesus if you need to pray. And as I come back home, I say hopefully it was a enjoyable ride around Muta. And if you're ever traveling Slovenia and you find yourself driving between Dravograd and Maribor in the Koroška region, I would say pop into Muta, check out that old church and whatever else they have to offer. Past my driveway.